Thank you. My name is Arnette Darnell. I am the Family Resource Center Coordinator at Hazelwood Elementary School. I've been there 18 years, and in that position, I am on the Community Council of Neighborhood Place South Central. The school is located at 1325 Bluegrass Avenue, 40215. And my request today is a little bit different from some of the others. I am going to speak on the WIC program, Women, Infants, and Children program, that is located in the Neighborhood Place South Central and Neighborhood Place South Jefferson, which is in the Fairdale 40118 area. There's a projected $800,000 deficit in the mayor's budget, or in the WIC budget, that is included in the city budget. And as a result of that, the health department has come up with a plan to close down the WIC sites at the two neighborhood places and also at the Middletown site. And what we are asking for is either more money in the budget to keep those places open, or to let us be a part of the planning of this program. Dr. Moyer has said that these changes are designed to make WIC services more convenient, accessible, and most importantly, available to families. But if you got your little yellow packet in there, there's some facts that I will not get done with this in 3 minutes, so I would ask you to please look at when I'm done. The anticipation is that the clients now at those two sites will go to the Dixie Highway site. They currently serve 17% of the county-wide participants, and so if you add the participants at those two sites, that makes 39% at one site. There's WIC staffing patterns in there, how they're going to change their staffing. However, it's still there's 8 people there now, and there will be 8 people there then. So they expect that 39% of countywide will be served in the same efficient way with the same number of staff. Neighborhood Place South Central serves more internationals than any of the other Neighborhood Place sites. Those staff people there are trained in immigration rules and issues, so this would require an extra expense if they close those down and other sites have to deal with more internationals. They say that over 90% of people arrive at these two sites by cars, but the statistics there were from an August 2011 client survey, plus they didn't ask how many people ride in their own car or how many people have to get rides. So yes, the Dixie Highway site is on a TARC route, but according to the TARC website, it's an hour-and-a-half ride from South Central there one way. They have to then ride an hour-and-a-half back.
Thank you.
Does someone have any questions?
Yes, Councilwoman Woolridge does.
Yes, I certainly do. Thank you, Madam Chair. I was discussing this issue with someone earlier today because I chair Health and Human Services. And this is quite disturbing to me, the fact that 13,600 people may have to go to a different site, and we're already, how do you take on more folk? Another caseload, and my understanding, and I stand to be corrected, the fact that the clients only get 7 minutes I don't know if anybody can speak to that to get certified or whatever, but as far as I know, I personally was not aware that they had talked about closing these 3 centers, and I think they closed 2 a couple of years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if we continue to close centers at the expense of women, infants, and children, I certainly struggle with that.
Exactly.
That's a struggle for me. So I'm hoping to meet with Dr. Moore and some of the other folk regarding this closing. But as far as the $800,000 that you may be looking for, I can't really speak to that. But I'm seriously disturbed the fact that they would close 3 additional centers.
Well, a couple of things to your point. Of course, WIC funding it's a federal program, comes through the state. And statewide participation has fallen across the entire state. So the state of Kentucky has mandated that all the counties raise their participation rates. And best practices show that your participation rates drop if you are not localized. So I'm not really sure how they feel like they're going to meet this mandate while they're closing sites. It's been very interesting that you talk about the number of participants, because we've had a hard time getting that figure. I have been told 50 at the two sites because it's duplicated numbers. And then we had to go to open records requests to get any information, which is concerning to me. But the figure that I got from them was almost 5,000 participants. But we were told that the formula is so complicated that they can't tell us exactly how many participants. And of course, it's not just the participants now that are affected, it's the people who would come on board. South Central is located, in 40215, and like I say, I've been at the Resource Center for 18 years, and it is a food desert. And we are bringing in different programs to help people escape that. Now, on the other hand, we're cutting out giving food to women, infants, and children. The bus ride to Dixie Highway is an hour and a half. So if you ride an hour and a half with your kids, you're there, and the WIC appointments currently take a couple of hours because there's nutrition education, there's a whole lot to it when you first sign up.
Ms. Darnell, there are a couple other questions.
Oh,
Madam Chair, I just want to just if I could,
Yes.
just continue, just a little, and then again, this may be for another committee. This may not be for the budget committee, but I'll come back if there's time. I'll come back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Butler.
Thank you. And Annette, you were touching on what I was going to ask was the bus routes. I mean, an hour and 14 one way, then
Right.
you got to go back. And that doesn't count. You've got to pack your child up. And so you've got strollers, and if you have other children, and then you've got to go back and you're there. So basically, it's an entire day if someone has to do the bus. And if they're also trying to work, that they're just not going to do it.
most WIC participants are the working poor. So they have to take off a day of work. They can either get fired or they have to lose their job. And Fairdale doesn't even have a bus. So according to TARC, it's a 16-minute walk with all these kids to the bus stop before you even get the hour-and-a-half ride over there.
I think it's more than a 16-minute walk
It
from
is.
there up to
It is for me, the
probably up
3
to
kids.
Outer Loop.
Yeah, it's Outer Loop, either at National Turnpike and Outer Loop or Walmart.
Thank you.
So,
Councilman Hollander.
This may be for another committee also, but you've indicated that you have tried to meet to talk about implementing this plan and been told that's not available at this point. Did you have any input into the plan before it happened?
no. After the fact, actually, I found out about the closing when the clients got a letter. And since then, I have obtained the document of the timeline that they worked on this. And in late February, actions were begun to put this in place. So we did not have a clue, even I don't believe that the administrators of the neighborhood places even knew. So we called the community meeting and offered our assistance. That was the purpose of the meeting, to say, let the stakeholders have a plan in this. We talked about one site closing and one staying open. We talked about different staffing patterns, cross-training, all kinds of things that could have been looked at before you close them down. WIC has been in those communities. I was on WIC when my 35-year-old son was born. The WIC has been in those two communities for 41 years, and they've been, the health department has been a collaborative partner with Neighborhood Place for 22 years. So, to pull an institution like that out of the community, two communities that really, have economic issues anyway, which that's another whole thing that's probably
I
not
hate
for this
to interrupt
committee.
you, but we do
Sorry.
have the health department coming on the 9th.
Okay.
So maybe we can continue this discussion with them. And our final question would be from Councilman Margrave.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Actually, it's more of a comment, I suppose. It just seems
I'm sorry?
terribly ironic that we're talking this way, you not having input on something that's so impactful for people in need,
Right.
on the same day that there's an announcement for the Omni Hotel.
And thank you, and thank you.
Thank you.
All right.